Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Free. We've got an unbelievable panel starting to my right, Mr. Harry Glanz.
Good morning, Harvey. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be back in the saddle, strapped in, ready to go, answer all the questions, and talk about this unbelievably hot market. The market has sustained itself. A lot of buyers out there, shortage of houses. We've got people in here that are going to be the experts in talking about what's going on in the market.
Perfect, Terry. John Kolb, of course, joins us from the office, top 1% of all originators in the U.S. Hey, John, what's up?
What is happening, everybody? Thanks for having me.
We always enjoy having you on. Of course, we're going to talk about getting that place up north, as we always do. Whenever you come by, John, we just talk about buying a second home up north. There's not a lot of inventory. And Noel Heidemann, of course, from Max Brook in the Birmingham office. Noel, you've been around Birmingham and all around the Woodward Corridor for a long time. You're an expert in the area, so good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Happy pre-Father's Day as well out there to everybody.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
that.
thank you very much for that.
Appreciate
I
that,
appreciate
Noel.
that.
Local boy, of course. Noel, I just talking to you before the show. We always talk a little bit about what's going on in the neighborhoods. You even got a chance to taste the Grand Prix, which was in Detroit with your father last weekend or the weekend before.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago yesterday, actually, and I don't know if a lot of people got a chance to get downtown, but it's really neat. You know, my dad and I went to the first Formula One race back in 1982, and we've been to some other ones, but seeing downtown in that type of environment with the people, and it's really cool to, I don't know, just to experience that. The city is really, really booming, and it's really cool to see how that many people downtown and lots of things to do.
Many secrets in this area, and I got a chance to get back out on the big lake here, Lake St. Clair. My buddy John, of course, had me out on his 32 Carver that he stole from some guy. Still opportunities in the boating world, John, and of course, you and I like the inland lakes, so we're always out there boating. But just a lot of secrets here in Southeast Michigan, John. You've got lakes, you've got the golf courses, and with this kind of weather in the U.S. Open, it's pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, I have a bunch of buddies that have moved from Michigan out of state, and they always say how much they miss Michigan in the spring, summer, fall because of everything that Michigan has to offer. And if you don't know what's out there, I mean, you get out because it's amazing. It's a great time of year right now.
Well, and vacation homes right now up north. We call it up north here. If you're from here, we say up north. The vacation homes up north are just very rare right now, John. You have a place up north, and the values are tremendous. Not only the property values have gone up, but the intrinsic value, what you get for being up north in northern Michigan. Now, everybody thinks it's the 90-day period of time between Memorial Day and Labor Day, right? No. If you're a hunter in the fall, if you're a skier, you know, you can go ahead and you can do a lot of snowboarding. There are a lot of things that you can do in Michigan, which makes it a great all-year-round state. And as a matter of fact, I know people that are moving from the East Coast, their summer home. They usually go to Nantucket or Cape Cod, but the prices are so outrageous. They're finally figuring out up north. And people from Chicago knew about, you know, the lakes and Traverse City area and everybody, you know, along Lake Michigan, that people are now spending their summers in Michigan because of the weather and the property values. What you can get, the big bang for the buck that you can get up north is tremendous compared to other places around the country. And now that people are allowed to work from home and remote, they're spending the majority of their time where they want to be. And that's here in Michigan, up north.
Okay, and a lot of great weather too, Noel. Definitely, that always gets us going and motivated on any morning here. We're going to take all your calls, 248-539-9797. Let's slide back here to Southeast Michigan. Talk about this inventory situation. Noel, we saw it. All these buyers, 5 million buyers came out of the woodwork when the rates dropped during the pandemic in 2020. Now there's no homes on the market because the other folks don't want to lose their 2.7 or 3% interest rate, whatever they're working with. With doubled digits on, well, not double digits, but doubling of the interest rate, it made it a little bit less affordable in this area, but the inventory is really making it less affordable.
You know, it's funny how all this stuff started, you know, obviously with COVID, but if you really think back and look, you know, the government did the right thing, the Fed, whatever, by dropping interest rates the way they did to jumpstart things.
I'm going to disagree, but keep going.
No, well, that's true, but yeah, I mean, there's ways that you can pick it apart a bunch of different ways.
There you go, right.
I think what I'm seeing as a realtor is that you have a lot of sellers out there that in a normal real estate market would actually sell, would actually be moving up or moving here, doing this, doing that. But a lot of people are not doing that because they have interest rates that are fixed under 3%. Who can you blame? You know, I can't blame them. At some point, those people are going to make a move. But I think that has been a very big, you do hear about what current interest rates are now. I don't think they're so bad if you look at the totality of it, that's going to change somebody from doing it, because the biggest problem we have right now is inventory.
Yeah, John, if you'll allow me 2 minutes. Allow me 2 minutes for 1 sec. I have to have 2 minutes here. And I want to go in reverse order because we're in the here and now. We can only deal with what the present is. But if you'll allow me to go back 2 minutes in history, I believe the following. I believe that during COVID, the government acted too fast, too quickly. The however is we never saw anything like that. So what was everybody supposed to do? So rates went down too fast. And now the Federal Reserve is trying to act too quickly again. And rates are going up too fast again. So, and John Coleman and I talk about this all the time. As a matter of fact, watching what the Federal Reserve finally didn't do, they paused or they held or they stopped raising interest rates 10 times since March 2021. They stopped. Now, they came out and they said they might take a look at raising again in July, which is a bad mistake. The mistake right now is, as you said, rates were down too quickly, but we're in the here and now, and rates went up too fast again. So why, and I'll sum it up by saying this, if you have just say 3.5% rate, because rates went up to 7, they doubled from 3.5. If you have a 3.5 rate, okay, even if you could get a tremendous amount for your house right now and you have to buy another house, you're going to, my words, not other people, in the current time, you're going to overpay and you're going to pay a higher rate. So you can't blame people for not doing it. And that's why it's creating, John Cole, in summation, the supply and demand issue. Plenty of buyers out there, not enough houses. So you're seeing what we're seeing right now, John.
Absolutely. I mean, you're 100% right. But at the same point, if you have to move, you have to move. And, just as you're going to overpay on the new house, you're overselling on your existing home.
Right, and rates aren't that high, by the way. 7% is not a high rate traditionally.
So it's offsetting. So you can take those two variables and throw them out the window because they're offsetting. Overselling, overpaying, they offset. All right, now you got to just look at the difference in the interest rates. And you know what? Go ahead and get them because the prices of homes are not coming down. So if you go out there and get that $350,000, $400,000 home and at a 7% interest rate, 6 months, 9 months, year, 2 years, who knows what it is when rates come back down a little bit, you can refinance and get your rate lower. But if you wait until those rates come down before you buy, all of a sudden that $350,000, $400,000 house is now $425,000, $450,000, $475,000.
Correct.
So you've even paid more for the home. So waiting for that interest rate to come down didn't do anything because all of a sudden now you're paying more, mortgages more, lower interest rate offsets by the higher. So take advantage of what you can now. I just had a client that we just talked 2 days ago. He's going from 2.99 on a 15-year fixed on his existing home and he wants to buy a new home, and his payment's going to go up $700 from what he's paying right now on a 30-year. So he's going from a 15-year fixed into a new 30-year, and his payment's still going up $700 a month. Well, he doesn't want to be in an association anymore. He's having too many problems with what he wants to do with his property that they will not allow him to do. So he wants to be out so his kids can enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. So guess what? Get into that new home so you can, get the stress of the association off your back. When the rates come down, let's do it again.
Yeah, you're actually losing money, Noel, John, and Harvey, if you are waiting right now. So if you would have bought a home last year, even if rates were what everybody says they're high, they're not high, everybody. Traditionally, they're not high. They're just high compared to what you thought were the all-time lows, right? So if you didn't buy a house last year and you're not buying a house this year, you're actually losing money because on the appreciation of that house and what you're going to have to pay now and in the future. So if you see something that you like, and I know it's hard out there, everybody, we hear it every day that there are multiple bids, multiple offers put in, and people are losing homes every single day. And this cash offer thing has to stop because there's no difference between a cash offer and a mortgage because we can close it in as little time as it would take to go ahead and close on a cash deal. So stop with the cash offer thing, okay?
A lot of those cash offers are BS.
Yes, they are BS. So I would tell you this, you're going to lose money again. Remember, supply and demand, the math doesn't lie. If you wait, prices are going to go up and you're going to end up paying more and you're going to lose money in that appreciation that you could have got.
All right, mortgage rates and the Fed, they didn't make a move again this week. The meeting was Tuesday and Wednesday. They were speaking, and of course, no change in the marketplace. That's the Fed funds rate. So a little pause on your credit card, maybe your home equity loan, line of credit. Maybe that doesn't jump up on you. Rates are still more than a percentage point higher than they were a year ago. Again, still at these all-time lows. Definitely putting constraint on the inventory out there. But there's always opportunities to understand and make changes for your family. Again, this is a roof over your head, Noel. So you still got to do the right thing for your family.
You know, it's funny. I would have thought by now, it's kind of like gas prices. It's like everything in our country. And you know, what change is always, there's a pause. There's a, oh no, there's a this, there's a that. And then it settles down. And I would foresee that I agree with what everybody is saying, in regard to how this got to where it's at. It's really interesting, though, you guys. I don't know if we have time right now on this side of the break, but I had a very interesting thing happen to me for the first time in 30 years.
I'm glad you set it up. All right. Sellers getting a little cold feet sometimes. Where am I going to move to if I sell my house? I'm getting top dollar for it. All right. When we come back, all your calls at 248-539-9797. We'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's 9:14. If you're just joining us, it is again the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. Our special guest, Noel Heidemann, Max Brook Realty. He's a local boy with extensive knowledge of the area. I wrote that down because I know it's true. And there's so much going on out there. Now, I've had some interesting things too, Noel. I want to hear your story. A buddy of mine, he bought a great house. He's ready to go, and he sold his, and then something went wrong in the inspection. And all of a sudden, people are getting a little cold feet, depending on what side you are on. I always say it's lack of knowledge, but tell us your quick story on a sell side. They didn't want to sell.
Yeah, really interesting story. So I've got some clients that are a young family that have young children and expecting, and we sold their house. I've never had this happen either in 30 years in real estate. We had 45 showings in one day on their home, so obviously we sold it very quickly. And we had some possession. Well, long story short, it's been a very tough time trying to find homes because of the lack of inventory. So we do. So we find this home and we get into a contract, and it was tough to get the paperwork signed. There was always always something out there that we thought, what's going on with this? So this is probably now about a month ago. Get through a home inspection, everything's fine, whatever. We came back with a little bit of something back that we wanted to adjust the sales price. The seller did not respond at all. And then we hear that she doesn't want to sell and she doesn't let the appraiser in. the day that the appraisal is supposed to happen. And I mean, this is kind of in Cliff Notes version, but so she decided not to sell. And I had actually had a conversation with her at the home inspection, which is unusual that a seller be at the home inspection, but she was, and mentioned specifically about her payment and about the money and where am I going to go and how am I going to find a home that is of this payment.
All the things you don't want to hear from a seller.
Things, yeah, all the things, and I understood because I understand what range she's going in, and it's she's going down in value in regard to where she's looking. So it is a limited amount of options. Number one, with the amount of inventory that's not out there. So that was a very unique situation. I've never had that happen, but it does, and it's just it's the real estate market. Was that because of her the payment that she had currently? And that what it could go up to, and she did reimburse back the purchasers for the inspection costs, but it's really we went through 3 weeks of something that we didn't really need to go through. And you would think that when somebody signs a contract to list their home, not only that, but you sign a contract with a purchaser to sell your home, that there is that intent that it goes through, and that's what we all aim to do, both sides of a transaction, regardless if I'm representing a buyer or seller and the other agent. That's our goal.
But seller's remorse is real, as is buyer's remorse. It all happens no matter what the market is. You get cold feet about either entering the transaction or going ahead and completing the transaction. And the good news is, Noel, it sounds like you had, that person was pretty amicable into reimbursing them for the expenses. Sometimes you don't find that, but seller's remorse is real. Buyer's remorse right now, if I can tell you this, if there's buyer's remorse out there right now, somebody will be in line to snap that house up. Yeah. So if you are not, if you're not committed to getting into that transaction, more of on a buyer's side, somebody's going to be taking your place. And that's just the reality of it right now because of the supply side. There's no supply of homes right now.
I think it's something, too, that people have to swallow in regard to, and you have to prepare yourself mentally for it because it's a war of attrition at times with real estate and with competing purchase agreements. And it's like I don't want to give away secrets, but the biggest thing that I try to do is I try to establish relationships. I try to establish relationships with the other parties. With the other agent, etc. It's amazing the doors that it can open when we all communicate. And luckily, I'm in a business and an industry that, for the most part, we all are people. We're people. We love people. We love to communicate. We love to get things together. It's the same thing with your industry and the mortgage industry. So it's helpful. But money does talk. And that's the greatest thing about what we do, you guys, is that I don't take that for granted. Every single person we work with has different motivations, different factors that are making, their decisions easier or harder based on what is going on in their life, what is going on in the country, what's going on with interest rates, inventory, blah, 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 blah. So it's a really cool thing to get into, and it's patience. And, everybody's got to be patient in regards to hopefully the number of homes that will be coming on the market will hopefully be increasing. Everybody wants that. But we'll see what happens.
Why is this, and John, maybe you can help answer this question because I know you have strong feelings about it too, along with Noel and Harvey. Why is the cash offer still a thing? And especially, it's a two-part question. So first part is, why is the cash offer still a thing? That's number one. And number two is, why would a seller accept a cash offer that's less than somebody with a mortgage when you can close in the same time frame? I just don't understand that line of thinking. Somebody help me out with that.
I mean, if your cash offer is no appraisal and your mortgage has an appraisal and you're not guaranteeing it or not having anything in writing that's going to make sure that they get their purchase price no matter what.
Let's say all things are equal.
But most people are going in with appraisal gap coverage and or appraisal guarantees. And if, like you said, Harry, if someone's offering $10,000 more on an appraisal on a mortgaged home versus a cash offer, why would you go with the cash offer? It doesn't mean you just threw away $10,000. It could have paid part of your real estate fees.
Right.
But hey, people are people. They don't think. They just go with what everyone says. Oh, okay, you got to take that cash offer. That makes more sense. Well, okay,
no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Let's analyze the numbers first.
I've had people pass on $20,000 over, take the lower offer because of the circumstances, the situations, and I think the one reason why people would hesitate versus mortgage versus cash is because mortgage is an extra contingency. With cash, obviously you have to verify funds.
Okay.
Okay. You close a lot sooner.
Almost.
And
Not
almost,
really.
well, you can close in 10 days. It's
Okay.
hard to get a mortgage and appraisal and everything else in 10 days if you have to get an appraisal. So
Okay.
I think what sellers look at and what in my industry, what we think about is the least amount of hurdles we got to get through to get to closing.
So 10
And-
grand is not worth an extra 10 days.
It doesn't,
10,
but
15
I
days?
think the issue
I'm
is that
confused
you
'cause we
don't
get-
know what's going to happen. When I
You don't know
represent
what's gonna happen
sellers,
with any of these cash.
no, you
offers.
don't.
Half the time, these sellers get to the buyers get through the inspection, and then these cash offers are coming back. It's like, okay, we want to renegotiate,
Yeah.
and we want to drop the price. We want this, we want that. It's because the offer was BS from the
Well,
get-go.
it can happen with any offers. That's
Well.
cash offers, conventional offers. Every buyer is different, and every buyer can do that. They can feel that way. They can go, "Well, gosh, buyer's remorse." Like here was talking about that. It happens.
It's a
It's
real
emotional.
thing. It's
And-
real.
Yeah, and I
real.
think it's real. You guys, you're moving at such a fast pace, and if we're increasing since 1990 or 2019, okay, right before COVID, I have tracked this stuff, and if you're increasing at 13 to 14%, which normally you're at 3 to 4, it's scary. So how fast can you move? And your brain as a human being, you got to be ready to process this. So these are the things that you got to prepare people for ahead of time. Like, I don't want to scare you right now, but I want you to be calm when it's time to make a decision about what we're doing.
The majority agents and the majority of buyers, easier for me to say, are prepped like that. I've talked to a lot of great agents lately, and they are prepping their buyers. The buyers I'm speaking with understand that they cannot be emotional about making these offers and about what happens in the transaction. Okay, I've had buyers that have lost 10, 11 houses. All right, finally find one. Okay, and it goes through. Then they think they have one. The offer doesn't get accepted. It's an emotional roller coaster out there. But the people that we're working with and the agents I'm speaking with, I'm telling you, the vast majority, I'm very impressed. The vast majority of the agents out there are prepping the buyers for this market because this market is a roller coaster ride. And if you're on it and your emotions aren't in check, it's going to drive you crazy.
The one thing that I always tell buyers in this market, especially if it's obvious, is we know there's 100 business cards on, the counter and the house has been on the market for 6 hours. Pretty much guarantee that there's probably going to be some interest in that property. What I talk to people about, especially if there's we got one chance, right? So I don't want people to feel like they would say to their spouse, to their significant other, to me, whatever, I woulda, I coulda, or I shoulda.
Right.
After the fact. One-time shot. That's kind of what it is. And that's the way this market is. Do we all like it? No. Is that really, really healthy? No, it's not. But that's just reality. So you got to, be prepared for that and be comfortable with that. That's the hardest thing, I think, is because you're talking about money. You're talking about finances. And $10,000 either way, as you guys know, changes your payment by what? $50, whatever.
Yeah,
But $50 is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's 6.5 on a 30-year. It's $63.30.
Exactly.
But whatever.
Exactly. That's a lot of money. In this day and age, it is, and so it's very, very important. And I just think the comfort of everything is really huge. Know what you're getting into. Know what the situation is. Know where you can benefit, where you can pounce, where your angles are, and that's how you. Now that may be all the case. And you just might get blown out of the water. It happened to me 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
With a client that they absolutely loved something. I'm showing them actually this afternoon. And we're just crushed by it. And we went way over list price.
Yeah, you guys are $20,000,
we were
$40,000 over.
And we got smoked.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, that can happen today. There's a lot of emotions. I'm glad we're bringing all this up now because that education, that knowledge, that confidence, that good feeling, you could still have remorse on either side of the transaction. And sometimes those sellers back out. That could even cost them a couple $1,000s to get out of that transaction. Yeah. You guys sound like you might have been a little bit nicer and sort of washed your hands on it.
We did. That was a different one, yeah.
Okay, let them maybe just reimburse it for the inspection and maybe the appraisal if it was done at that point. But you can come after people. These are legal contracts,
but
John.
That's a real seller that really, like Harry was saying, seller's remorse, right? I've had 2 instances where the seller actually wanted to back out because they had other offers that they could have sold the house for more.
Can't do it.
We've had well, they tried, and we've actually gotten attorneys involved, writing letters explaining yes, you're right. You can back out of this offer. You can sell, but we will sue you for the difference in what you sell it and what we're going to buy it for, because the difference is what we could have made in the property. And they've gone through with the transaction because they came to realize that you're right. You can't just break a contract without all parties agreeing.
We are definitely seeing more and more of these situations come up. 248-539-9797. If you would like to join our show, you're buying or selling a house, get more professionals involved in your transaction. Noel, we're definitely seeing larger EMDs and maybe non-refundable EMDs as we move forward if a buyer gets cold feet. So we're seeing it on both ends of the transaction, and we got lots to talk about here. Buying a home has many steps. We make it seem flawless. We come back. We'll try to solve your problems and your questions. 248-539-9797. Keep it here.
He should have gone.
All righty, welcome back. All righty, welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. All right, there we go. I knew we were there. Yeah, we're back live here in the studio, 9:30. If you're just joining us, what a gorgeous day outside. It's already June 17th. This month is flying by, too. The whole summer's flying by. Want a little salute out there to all the fathers out there. And happy Father's Day, of course. Get out there on the golf course. Do what you got to do with your father. Make it a lot of fun.
How about throw your dad batting practice?
That's a good one, Harry.
I love
Because
this.
your dad threw you batting practice all
Eric,
those years.
don't do it, Eric.
Why
Don't
don't
do
you
it.
take your dad out, play golf, and then go to a field and throw your dad batting practice?
This is awesome.
I'm looking forward
Spend
to
some
that.
quality
I
time.
love it.
Let's just do that.
Becky Alley, good morning. You're joining us from the Downriver area. Becky, good morning. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on? And I actually like that idea, Harry. So one year on Father's Day, before they redid where the old Tiger Stadium was, we actually went down there to the open field and played catch with my dad. We ran the bases. We actually hit a couple balls, and it was a really good, it was a really amazing day. So I like that idea because you're right, because that's one thing that my dad always did was play catch with me on a regular basis to make sure that I had a rocket ship arm.
That's right.
So,
Exactly. That's exactly right, Becky. And I know you're a tremendous person, tremendous athlete, tremendous family person. And the fact that you understand that to give back to your dad, because all those years he did all that. He drove you around all the fields with your mom and all that kind of thing. So everybody out there, listen to Becky Alley. Take your dad out there and you throw your dad BP, okay? Love it.
Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
Becky, thanks for joining us and join this conversation as we talk about, a little bit of the scary part of home ownership, whether you're selling a house, looking to purchase your next one or buying, and you don't have all the knowledge behind you. Maybe you don't have the right team behind you, but there's so many steps, including we'll talk about even the final walkthrough and getting that done maybe a day or two before closing. So in case something wasn't done properly, we can even discuss that. But Becky, all those moving parts that we talk about.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be scary, but it can be, like you said, like if you're not surrounded by the right people. And I actually have a perfect story. We had a first-time home buyer just closed on Thursday. It was a beautiful moment. We had a great time. They actually qualified for down payment assistance, so they got $10,000 towards their closing costs. And then it's been raining. We've been having some serious, torrential downpours over the last couple of weeks here in Michigan. So it's their first night in their house, and water is just now pouring into their basement now that they own this house now. And what happened was the sellers recently redid the porch, but whoever did that work, they didn't cap the porch. So now all this water is just pouring into the basement. So they called us. We got a hold of the sellers. They're going to go over there and fix those things. But if they were with people that were just going to be like, okay, we're done now, you don't talk to us anymore, or if we were 9 to 5 people, we wouldn't have been able to direct that traffic, because as a first-time home buyer and it's your first time in this house, I couldn't imagine what that felt like, having water pouring into the basement, let alone me living in my house for 20 years and having that experience. But we quickly sprung into action, and we got someone out there very, very quickly. But in Michigan, there's been so much rain over the last week, and we haven't had any. And all those things are now through the owners, right? What do you do in that situation? And luckily, we had a good relationship with the seller. We knew people to get a hold of, and we got that fixed for them pretty quickly. But it can be scary if you feel like you're walking that plank alone. And here at Capital Mortgage Funding and whoever we're dealing with, we make sure that you're informed and we know how to handle these clutch situations as they happen, because life is life. And when you live in Michigan, there's water in the basement sometimes. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that happens. Water, rain in Michigan is a thing. Snow in Michigan is a thing. It's not the first time, but like Becky said, there was a new porch put on, and that the company that did that obviously didn't do something right. But kudos to that seller who actually helped to make this work out for them, because most sellers could just walk away because they didn't know that was an issue, because it was new to them as well. So kudos to those sellers for doing the right thing. But you got to make sure that you know who you're dealing with. And buying, selling, I don't care who it is. If you're putting a project together on your home, make sure that they're doing it the right way. Research it, talk to people, figure it out, because there's a lot of shabby people out there doing shabby jobs, and you can't get caught with your pants down.
Well, Becky, Noel, Harvey, John, I know you don't want to think about the age of things, but the ages of homes in Michigan, if the home was built in the 30s, do the math, 40s and 50s. So
30s when you were like 20?
Yeah, when I was 25, in the 30s. So if you're dealing with it's a 75-year-old home, you have to get it inspected, okay? And things are going to come up. It's only normal. I mean, there are a lot of cities that get a lot of rain, and the grading's different. It just needs to be taken care of. And water in a basement necessarily doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that it happens, and you just have to fix it. It doesn't lead to more problems. There might not be a foundation issue. It just might be a moist basement, and those things happen, and you can fix those things. It shouldn't deter a transaction, but you have to get it checked out. The bottom line is what we're saying, and what Becky is saying is that you need to get with the right people and the right relationships, and that only comes with, again, not my experience, just with experience in general.
Harry's age is experience.
Thank you.
What I am seeing, and a lot of offers are getting accepted now with inspection waivers, no inspection at all. It was a pass-fail, and now we're going on inspection waivers.
Disaster.
I knew Harry was going to say that. But
Disaster.
It seems to be working for some people. I don't agree with it, but it
Depends
seems
on
to
the
be-
situation.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
really
Noel,
depends on the situation.
what do you see if you're listing a home, Noel, and you're seller? What do you see? Do you see a lot of inspection waivers?
No, I mean, you do and you don't. It's everything is up for play. In regards to the water, though, water is by far, not even close, the biggest destructive force that nature can give us. It does
For
a
sure.
lot of damage.
We're all praying for this
Yeah.
rain here.
But,
No, what are you doing
but
here?
you're right. It's dry, but it's also a lot of times, like, Harry was saying, these things are fixable. A lot of it's, it could be simple grade. It could be downspouts. Gosh, those are so easy things when I'm showing houses and walking around. You guys, these are like under $20 things that you can do to get
Right.
water away from your house.
Exactly.
And it solves the problem.
Right.
Um,
You don't have to
so-
even hire anyone. You can just do it.
No,
buy
yeah,
a bunch
there's-
of bags
there's-
of dirt and
Yeah.
grade it yourself.
Yeah, there's simple things that you can do yourselves. But I mean, it's amazing the purchase agreements that are out there. It's getting, you're just getting more and more creative. But I have seen, and just recently, that again, if you develop rapport with agents, there are ways that you can get purchase agreements accepted, and but you got to think outside of the box, but you also have to be a nice person, and you communicate, and we're in this job together. So it's funny, you guys. I've received so many purchase agreements, and I'm sure there's agents out there going, that somebody emails me a purchase agreement, doesn't text me, doesn't even call me.
It's nuts. I know. We still hear that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You represent your client, and then you don't even reach out to let me know that you've sent something or talk about it or any. It's crazy.
yeah, and
Really
that's
understand
the
who
difference.
you're working, with,
Yeah.
and what they're doing.
Hey, Becky, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, and like I just was actually having that conversation with somebody else where you hear this a lot of it's collaboration over competition and this and that. Well, in reality, if you're going after the same listing as someone else, that would be your competition. However, there are the agents out there that we're in these very competitive markets. So this is where the collaboration element comes in, like you're talking about, right? It's both because you submit this offer. How are your clients going to feel? We're in this competitive market. That relationship element comes into play. You submit that offer and you don't even follow up. You don't even let, let's just the lender know that you submitted this offer. So therefore there's no correspondence. They don't even know if the offer was received. And that happens time and time again. And that's why it matters, like the relationships, who's reaching across the aisle, who picks up their phone matters. It sounds so silly and we talk about it all the time, but it really, those little itty bitty details matter, just like the gutters, the grading. If you were one of the people that went out and looking at homes during this last week when we had all this rain that came that we've been waiting for, good for you, because then you see exactly what's happening in that home. So that way you know how to prepare for it. A rainy day is the best day to look for a home, in my opinion, here in Michigan.
Yeah.
Or the next morning of the rainy day, for sure, Becky.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
It
that's it,
exposes
yeah.
all the
For the next-
flaws,
Yes,
for
it
sure.
does.
All right, we're going to take all your calls this morning. Of course, open lines, 248-539-9797. You can reach us at Capital Mortgage at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Lots of moving parts, as we always say, in the transaction. The remedy for a buyer, the remedy for a seller, sometimes it's just some money. We need to get the right people back out there. Becky, in your case, it sounds like it had a happy ending. Even though the sellers cashed the check, they sold the house as is, they were still willing to do the right thing in this case. Maybe reach back out to
Yeah.
the people that did the work. And again, we talk about when you're hiring these contractors, there's warranties, there's transferable warranties. You can get these things up front. Again, if they mark it on the seller's disclosure, there's a new roof. Well, there you go. Most roofs will have a 25 or some form of a lifetime warranty or some years built into a warranty. And again, that goes with appliances and stuff. All right, how about throwing in that free home warranty? A lot of agents do that. We did that as lenders. We used to do that, Harry. We always offered somebody, if you were buying a house, you were using your hard-earned money, things were tight, we would offer you a free home warranty. That way you have a peace of mind when you close on a house. There's a lot of great things you can do to make this smooth.
Yeah, I think the agents and the lenders, they get together, and we want to make sure that we're servicing our client. We want to make sure that the client's taken care of, so we want to protect the client. A lot of things can go wrong after you buy a house, and home ownership isn't just the payment. Okay, you've got the landscaping, you've got the utilities, you got to buy furniture, you got blinds, you have appliances, you got everything, and certain things can go wrong. So we believe in that. And it's just an overall service that agents and lenders do to help people out, because after all, we have to take care of them because it's a referral relationship. It reflects on us. We take care of somebody who reflects positively. If somebody doesn't feel like you've taken care of them, it negatively impacts them and their family. So we try to put our best face forward and make sure that it gets taken care of. I want to delve into home property values because John brought it up before, and in purchase agreements, people are putting in appraisal guarantees. Now, just because a buyer is going to say that they're going to go ahead and come up with a difference, what is the difference between that purchase price, the property value, and how much they've got to come up with? So everybody has to be aware of that if you're going to go ahead and put in an appraisal guarantee, that you're going to cover that gap between the purchase price and if the appraisal doesn't come in. Everybody has to know going forward. So I'm going to open up Pandora's box here. You can give out the phone number to call Harvey. They can call me directly or email me. There are a lot of lenders that don't check people's financial statements to make sure, and after the break we'll get into it, to make sure people can come up with that money that they say they can. And we do. We run all the checks. We underwrite the property and the buyer in full to guarantee everything.
All right, in today's competitive market, you need to be approved, not just pre-approved. We'll check it all out for you. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
That's a great segue.
Already, welcome back to the show. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Headed into our 24th year of giving you some great information here. We do take your calls live in the studio, 248-539-9797. I don't know what's going on with my headphones today. There it is. It's all great. And we're enjoying this Father's Day weekend, of course. We got the U.S. Open. They play today. They play tomorrow. There's a lot going on here. This kind of weather makes everyone in Southeast Michigan in a great mood, even if you're stuck in traffic somewhere. John,
let's go back to what Harry was saying before the break.
Okay, let's go into it.
Verifying funds, right? Because I think that's such a great point about how a lender is making sure that the numbers make sense.
Right.
And because there's a lot of lenders out there that aren't doing anything when a realtor puts together an offer saying that there's an appraisal guarantee, a gap, whatever the case may be. And a lot of lenders aren't verifying those funds. I took a call from a listing agent this past week asking, why is this client only putting 5% down? I said, well, they've got an appraisal guarantee, an appraisal gap in their offer, and they need to make sure that they have those funds available for that. They've already sold their home. Yes, they have more money to put down. They could put 10, 15, 20% down. But if they're going to go into this offer with an appraisal guarantee, we have to make sure that we are covering their butts by saying, okay, you leave this money outside of your down payment for that fact. And if the appraisal comes in low, boom, you're still good. We got the offer accepted at 5% down. Great. If the appraisal comes in at value, we can put more money down and nobody's going to hem or haw over that, right?
right?
So you got to just make sure that you're reviewing the numbers and make sure that you're working with a lender. I don't even want to say anything about the banks and credit unions, but the banks and credit unions aren't doing the due diligence to make sure that the client knows what they need to do to get into a home. And that's just my point of view.
Yeah, we keep seeing that kind of stuff, John. Just again, we talked about communication. It's definitely something that's still out there. It's going to always separate the better players out there, the better real estate agents, the experience. It's that great communication. You through relationships out there. That kind of stuff never changes.
John just said it, how you wrote it. That's how you write it, and then it's a good agent that calls. That's a good agent that actually calls lenders, okay, they're representing their seller. You should be talking to the other agents, not only the other agents, but the other lenders, and asking those questions. And I know exactly who he's talking about, and she did. And that's smart.
Giving confidence to the listing agent is key. They have to have that warm, fuzzy feeling. They have to know what's going on.
That got the offer accepted,
yes.
Because had they come back and thought that there was a 5% down loan and that, they had sold their house, why didn't they have any more money? Maybe they have bad credit. They have to use it for something else. No, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with playing it the right way and being smart about how to use your money for the things that you need to use it for. They've got a baby coming up along the way. They've also, got some appraisal guarantee, appraisal gap money that they might need to come up with. So we have to write it up at 5% down, because if they had to come up with that extra 5 or extra 10% for the appraisal gap, we need to use it towards that, not towards the down payment.
It's about exhausting a purchase agreement, regardless of who it comes from, and how it's written. Break it down. That's your job.
Well, no, when you're laying out all those offers, let's say you've got those 46 showings, you know you're going to get 10 offers in right away. And then your job is to bring all offers to that seller. And you sit down with that seller. You have 10 offers. And it's kind of like anything else. You rank all the offers. You take a look at them. You take a look at the buyers. You take a look at how much money they're putting down. First, take a look at the price. Take a look at how much money they're putting down. And then you lay them out in order. And then you say, this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you kind of go with that and explain how that process works for you.
Well, I think what you have to start with is that this is any transaction. I don't care if you have 10 purchase agreements, you have 20, you have 100, you have 1. There's no guarantee of anything. So what I try to do is my best due diligence to get as much information, not only talking with the lender, the agent, about the people's situation, like what the agent did with John. There's a reason why that purchase agreement was written for 5% down, and he explained why. But if you just take a purchase agreement and if you just look at it just at its face value without going into any detail and doing some research, you can easily put one aside and do this, and I will never deal with this or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to, every situation, again, I said it earlier in the show, that's why I love what I do, because everybody's different. everybody's financial situation is different. I lean on you guys at Capital Mortgage Funding because you do ask those questions. It's not my business to know somebody's financial situation that I'm working with buyer. I want you guys to know that, and you guys know the situation. I just need to know how to write the purchase agreement dealing with those factors. And then a good agent, again, calls and finds out a little bit more information that says, that's pretty smart. It's pretty smart not putting 20% down, because if you did come up short, because it does happen, it's
Right.
life. You do come up short in an appraisal guarantee, you want this house, you're still going to be protected and you have funds.
We're talking about 5 or 10% appreciation on the homes now too. So keeping that money to use to maybe refinish that bathroom. And again, as a seller, you have to look at that and say, you know what? They know they have an older roof on that. So again, if a family reaches out to you, it's still a strong offer, whether or not it's 20% or 5% down. Again, a strong offer has strong communication. And there's reasons why my clients might elect to put a little bit money down. They're like, hey, Harvey, you know what? Next time these rates come down, I have an opportunity maybe to refinance. Maybe I can establish a better loan to value, more equity in the house, and I can remove the PMI at that point. So keeping that cash in hand, that's pretty strong nowadays, especially since the banks are even paying. Money markets are at 4.25%. So there are reasons why I want that money to use for my home improvements, for the materials that cost more and for the labor that costs more.
Yeah, I tell this story all the time. When I bought my house, I had a little punch list of things that I wanted to get done in six months. 16 years later, I finished it. So, I mean, if you could use that money to get that stuff done sooner so that you can enjoy the house longer the way that you want it, why not? And like Harry or Harvey or whoever just said, the appreciation factor coming into play, yeah, you may have a little bit of PMI. PMI is so damn cheap right now for people with good credit.
Oh, yeah, it is.
On a monthly basis.
Right.
So damn cheap. So if you can save that money, let the appreciation, 6 months, 9 months, year, when the rates come back down, come back, get a better rate, get out of PMI. All of a sudden, you got the house of your dreams, and you're living life.
It's always an interesting thing that, before you get to, you start working with a purchaser, say, and, there's a process, and say it takes 6 months or whatever it takes. And, the range of emotions that some people can go through is pretty spectacular. It's just really cool to be alive and, on this planet, it's what a great day. And,
It is.
And it's wild to see the emotions, but in the long run, all the stresses, all the worries, all the this or that, and you get people to a closing and they get into their home for the first time, and maybe it's the first time they've ever owned anything. What a feeling that is. And I think we all know it. It's pretty darn cool.
I like those good feelings.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. Vacation homes. Again, you can't put a dollar amount on the lifestyle that you can have by having your whole family out there. The stresses of everyday life can really eat up some folks.
Yes.
So if you can find some joy in some other things, and maybe home ownership is something that you thought about, and again, maybe just want to improve your quality of life right now, or maybe buy that second home. These are things we're talking about here. 248-539-9797. Catch us at Capital Mortgage all weekend long and all week long at 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's 1-800-569-7283. Always great information to share with you guys. Just dive into escrow accounts real quick. Summer tax bill comes up on July 1st. If you don't have your money put together, if you have a shortage in your escrow account, call us. You might need to refinance the house. Better yet, you need to find out. I had a call earlier this week, and sure enough, there was some force-placed insurance. Something changed dramatically on his insurance bill. Went from $1,800 to $4,200. There's a shortage in his escrow account. He called. We're following up on him. We're helping remedy the situation. Again, escrow accounts are perfect to have. They really budget you. So when that July 1st tax bill shows up in your mailbox, boy, they never miss.
Yeah.
You're all set. Again, even if you get the bill to the house and you have an escrow account, that's just for your public record. Follow up with your servicer and make sure they pay the summer tax bill by September 1st, September 15th, whenever your city requires it.
Yeah, and I want to follow up on what Harvey just said, that we are there for our clients 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. When people call and say, hey, what the heck happened to my payment? Why did it go up so much? We look it up. We pull the taxes. Send me your mortgage statement. This is why. We look in, send me your escrow analysis. And we look it up. We don't charge you for that. You know why? Because you're a past client of ours. I don't care if it's even a past client. If Noel has a client that has some questions and they come in, that's what we're here for, to make sure. Because we want to do good service for the community. Yeah, we're not just good people out there, right? We also want the good referrals. But if we're taking care of people, it's good for them, it's good for us, and it's just a circle of life, right? Just be a good neighbor.
Newbie out of state.
Mr. Rogers next to me says be a good neighbor.
That's
yeah,
right.
for sure. Newbie out-of-state lenders
sweater.
are jamming up some escrow accounts, folks. You got enough quality mortgage lenders right here in Southeast Michigan. Call Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll get it straightened out for you. Get that escrow account set up properly. Again, if there's too much money in there, you might get a refund check because these are there's analysis done on them all the time.
And we are going to be will be some people in the office on Monday, Juneteenth. I know it's a federal holiday, but we're so busy right now. We got to get some stuff done. If you need anything, give us a call on Monday. We'll be there.
We are in the office on Monday, and that music says we've got a goal. Noel Heidemann, you're awesome, dude. Always thanks for joining us. Max Brook Realty. You can find Noel in downtown Birmingham, Max Brook. You want to give out the number even?
248-722-0121 is my cell. That's how to get a hold of me. You guys, happy Father's Day out there.
Thank you as well. Everybody out there, fathers out there, make your kid throw your batting practice tomorrow and have a great day.
All right, tons to share with you next Saturday. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. There's Pat Caputo. He's got to talk some baseball and Lions and a whole bunch more. Keep it here.